welcome back to Epic Land. That was a fun interview with me you just saw. And this is a fun pistol round we're about to see between Ferrari, Peakers and Fierce. Quickly in to cash our second map. It is Fierce's pick, so let's see if they can turn us to map 3. Hype first casualty for Zan, turning it back around 4 versus 4 scenario. Lazar tapping on through. Adam will be able to take down for Zan as Lazar does end up falling alongside Dom back towards the B bomb site. He's dropped the bomb directly in the open. 2 versus 2 when the teams are going to aggress it. They've got one more player towards heaven, and Adam's going to lock down the 1-for-1 trade. 60 seconds again. Smoke to keep control. Swagger's just going to pick it up. Adam hears the footsteps looking for the USP shot, headshot for either player, but Adam is lacking the Kevlar. Swaggy hasn't got the aim punch again. It all comes up to the headshot. Might get this bomb down. Might force Adam to try push him.
Yeah, this pistol round could definitely change the tone of this game. Both of us coming down to the 1 versus 1. Adam tries to fall out of heaven, but Swaggy capitalizes off that fact and actually just runs at him in the engagement. They get the bomb plant down as well, so that's fantastic for them. And actually, we'll give you a little bit of an update on some of the a little bit of an insight into these map picks as well as this game as a whole. So Inferno was actually Ferrari Peaker's pick. They typically pick Overpass as their first pick, but Inferno another comfortable one for them. Well, where it is usually Fierce's instaban, and this will be now Fierce's pick. So starting off the pistol round on their own map pick is definitely a fantastic solution for them. The third map, if Fierce are able to convert this, would then be Mirage.
And quite a map we'll be able to end on as well. A relatively good map, I think, for both of these sides. So let's see if we get there. Of course, yep. Fierce have to take cash to start things off. They have got a decent opportunity to do so. Obviously, opening round to their favour, getting the rifles back in, so that way they can try and force the issue away from Ferrari Peakers. Of course, with the eco looking for the early rifle again. There's an early default coming out from Fierce. And I don't know really whether Ferrari have gone for this aggressive kind of force buy. They would have had a lot more to work with than the normal force buy with the pistols. So if they end up losing this one, that's not going to be the best of forms. They are slowly going to creep towards the mid position. Lazar ducking out of dodge here towards the sandbags. His job is to remain in this position until he is forced out or otherwise can act upon a kill. And Molotov will force him out. Emming going to take him down. There's one more and a double down onto Adam. Bomb site open for business. And Dom and Whisk close.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Ferrari don't go through much of these kind of gimmicky plays off the fact that they just have USPs, usually teams full pushing towards the A site or full pushing towards B and actually just or stacking one of the bomb sites. And instead, they just opt to play very, very default. Splitting into that 2-1-2 setup, they get picked apart as a result. And although Lazar was able to dink up one of those players, it ultimately ended up netting them nothing. Fierce able to convert very, very well off of their own buy, but now they have to fight up against the M4s and the utility invested by Ferrari Peakers. Couple Galils still in the hands of the Fierce players as well. The fact that they don't have head armor could actually prove to be a detriment.
Ferrari Peakers don't really have much of a choice. They could have gone with a head Kevlar, but I don't think several players can do that. Otherwise, they have to sacrifice a lot of the utility. If not, they might have not even be able to. 2-for-1 trade as Dom lines up 2. Whisk is the one casualty for the Ferrari Peakers side. The first man down towards the checkers corner, but Emin on a backstab. They have no idea this is coming in. Did Adam hear it? I think Emin's going to hear those footsteps. Turn back around, try to take this player out. He will spray. He will isolate the B bomb site as the conversion comes through. Lazar still kicking and screaming for as long as he can. It's all on Dom. 2 kills to his name. 2 more to find. Looks back around towards Capers' position. Now he goes to Emin. He still gets the triple. Knows that Capers is close. On for the quadra. The AK spray does not land to the headshot. Looking on towards Tree, hearing players coming in position, sprays on down, now looking around the ring of Roses, the default, but it's Dom. 4 kills to recover the first for Ferrari.
Dom has done that fantastically, gets those initial 2 kills, allows the rotates to come on through for Ferrari Peakers, and he just stays alive on the site for so long. In fact, he's the final player to win out the 1 versus 1 at the end of things. 2 rounds so far out of 3 have come down to 1-on-1s, and this is going to end up being a very, very close game if that team is to continue. Still got 4 AKs invested by Fierce, however, and the P250 alone on Hype. The SMGs have been invested on by Ferrari Peakers, and if they aren't expecting this level of a buy from Fierce, then they could definitely get outgunned, especially these long engagement ranges from, say, bottom highway to the A site.
Ferrari Peakers, unfortunately, not having a lot of money in their bank account, so they're kind of forced down to these SMGs more than anything else. They don't really have much of a choice. Otherwise, they can just go for it. Maybe for the utility. They can't get the M4s out. They might be able to get the FAMASs out, depending on the specifics. Obviously, I wasn't seeing the money line before the hand, but You know, you can do some general maths and probably calculate it's not possible to get the full-blown buy. So Fierce are going to have the better setup regardless. They are going to lose the early HP advantage against Swaggy, though. All the players on Ferrari Peak are still on 100 HP. And look at Aussie as well here to the Shroud boost. Going to hear those drops come out. Whisk will go forward towards the B bomb site, but this is going to be the crucial play because this is where the majority of Fierce players are coming in from. He's backed up by Adam. Another SMG here close to the bomb site. Hype moving up close. Aussie, how many kills will he find with this? Will he just react to the first man? Oh, he's been spotted back towards the short position. Smoke to cover him up. He hasn't been spotted. He's able to get one for it. Fazan will trade him. Turn him back around towards the short position. Fazan going to cover off his teammates. And Swaggy moves quickly in towards truck to gain control of the corner. 2 versus 4. Still a good retake for Ferrari Peakers. 3 players are still tagged.
Oh, but now with that kill coming out on Lazza, this is going to be a safe call from Dom. He's going to hold on to that M4 as well as the Molotov and Flash. And Fierce, they don't have a whole lot of money to work with, so I doubt they'll try and hunt him down too aggressively. Capiz was positioned in a lurk prior to this, so he will be the one to maybe locate him and actually spot it out on that cross to Sunroom. Dom, he'll try to reposition, take that. Does do a significant portion of damage onto Capiz, actually finds the kill onto Swaggy, who was low HP himself. But now they'll probably not posture themselves up to chase him down, as although they've lost one more player, losing an additional risk mean that they would be at a net loss for the round in terms of how much they would have invested in. And in fact, they still decide to go and fight for it. That does mean that they're going to have Galils now. So it's a questionable peak at the end now.
Ferrari Peak is going to be able to justify the force buy off the back of this, you know. They're going to buy the SMG, 1 UMP alongside the M4. CZ, the Eagles coming out for others. Aussie will be the man with the second automatic weapon. Lazza put a little bit of money to the bank account. Lacking in the head care line. Other than extra utility, but I think he was already full once the buy came down. Ferrari Peak is still a chance. They can force the issue now, then they stand to gain a lot out of Fierce. No money in the savings, no money on the loss bonus. Nothing to fall back on. Adam knows this, getting close towards Emin. Close and read the pattern so well. 1 burst peek back, 2 burst peek back, third burst. Go right around the corner and get a Galil for the CT side.
Yeah, timing so well. And Swaggy at least will answer back onto Aussie. That's 1 less player on that A site that they need to get. Mark will actually look for some information in middle and gets flashed up in the process, loses the position in the connector, and that Molotov will definitely separate him from his teammates, but he's actually going to funnel himself over towards that B side, and it seems like that's where Fierce are grouping up. Whisk is still positioned in checkers, and he's there with the CZ, so if that player comes jumping out of the vents, then very wrong, but Swaggy checks the corner as he jumps out. Dom Ball comes out of position. Lazza exactly will burn in the flames as well. And Adam left into this 1 versus 3 on this flank.
I know he's here, no one's checking it. Gonna start to realise that the bomb plant comes through, and Cape is making sure he can't get outflanked from this position as well. Adam gonna hear the reload of the 1 man on the bomb site. Footsteps of the 2nd man towards checkers, so he's got a bit of info to play with. Now hearing the move up and about. Gonna be ready for him. Yes, he is. Hype. Peeks away, back turn, straight out. Adam now looking back towards the check area, but Capers shuts him down. And Fierce once again going to lose a lot of investment in this round. 3 players going down. But Ferrari Peakers, they also don't have a whole lot to fall back on. 2 rounds lost bonus with a force fire there. It's going to be the full eco, and for Fierce this time, they should be able to take confident control, start to get some real good money going. But still 3 players with less than $1,000. 1 player actually less than $100 in the form of Hype. But the economy's still not able to build up for the Fierce side, even though they have been a pretty decent win streak so far against Ferrari Peakers. They're playing much more confidently. They know they're on the front foot. Ready to be in control, straight with the Molotov to try and stop any of the power plays for Ferrari Peakers from doing any damage.
And this is one of those gimmicky rounds I was kind of talking about before with these USPs and the P250. They're stacking towards that B site and just giving up the fact that 50% of the time Fierce might walk into them, and Fierce are actually playing things rather swiftly towards that middle position and probing with one of these AKs. There's a teammate close enough to trade. The Capes, he was the one to hold that B push, and he ultimately gets overrun. Whisk is able to take him down and actually recover the AK, and that will at least prompt the aggression towards that A site, but they now have to worry about the fact that an AK has been dropped and it's in the hands of the CT side. Emin and Hype will answer back and put it into this 3 versus 2, but the bomb should be planted now for Fierce, and now the time starts running low for Ferrari Peakers. They'll likely want to just hold on to what they have. Whisk loses the AK in the process.
Yeah, Whisk could have gone right the way back towards T-spawn. Trug, try to see if they can hold it. AK-47 for the next round, but try to go for a bit more, try to get a bit more out from the Fierce side. They will punish him, and there you go. Nothing game for Ferrari Peakers. Although Luzza, this is an interesting position. If they go down, if they don't check it, you can be on for a knife kill. Is it going to happen? The cheeky little devil, but fortunately Fierce are not going to go to that position. So Luzza, not quite getting off on the way he wanted to this time. Again, not a major problem for Ferrari Peakers. It was an eco anyway. But 5 on the board now for Fierce. 3 rounds lost bonus for Ferrari Peakers. The M4's coming up. The AWP could come out from Luzza. We saw how dangerous he was on map 1 with that. Whisk going to struggle with the CZ Kevlar. And Luzza will get the AWP out to play for Ferrari Peakers, working off the firepower more than anything else. Lacking in utility with mostly flashes and smokes. 1 incendiary and 1 HP grenade. That's the entire utility set for that CT side.
Yeah, and Fierce actually not investing into an AWP, although they had the option in Swaggy Avi or even a player like Hype. In fact, a lot of these players can pick up the AWP for the Fierce side. Rifle setup, and Aussie will take some initiative in A main and find the opening pick for Ferrari Peakers. They know that there's 1 less player towards that A site, but the smokes have been deployed, and now the hit should be starting out here. Adam still sits at quad and starts spamming furiously through that smoke, but doesn't expect the wrap on through from these Fierce players. And Aussie actually lands a spray through the smoke. He jumps into it as Sanctuary, but Heavy blinded up, unable to convert the frag. Aussie will finish things off with a nice little 4K for himself.
Yeah, Aussie was completely turned around when that flashbang came through, so even though he was flashed, he was only half flashed. And that's really what gave him the advantage when it came to that. Completely blind versus partially blind. Flashbang clears faster, that's when the kill will come through. 4K on like, was it 9 HP he had at the end of that round? I'm not sure, but it was pretty red. Yeah. So for Ferrari Peakers, a nice second to be gaining once again. Still going to wear down on Fierce's economy because they're still not going to have invested and be down $100 a piece at best. 450, $1,700 in the richest case of Emmett. Gives an AK, a couple AKs, 3 AKs in fact. So the head armor's going to be pretty much negated here for this T-side. Swaggy straight in and take down Whisk. Oh, Dom waiting, takes the first, turns around towards Swaggy, doesn't see him, still gets the kill, backed up by Ams in the mid position, and they all crumble to pieces by Fierce. 1v4 for Bazan. This is a third for the CT side.
And that's a position that Ferrari Peakers haven't been seen to be using so far in this game, and Fierce are just, they almost get a little bit lazy in middle considering Ferrari Peakers have given it up so many times before. They weren't using those Molotovs to flush out some of those closer angles, and Dom able to fully capitalize off that fact. Zan will try and do his best. He's deployed the smoke, and he actually will walk around and try and get an engagement on site, but Adam, he suspects something's up. He clears that left side for his teammate, and Ferrari Peakers will get a 3rd round on the board. Fierce start things off really, really hot on their map pick, but it seems like Ferrari Peakers are starting to answer back a little by little. The AWP actually picked up on Luzza now as well. That's definitely a different setup for the Ferrari Peakers, and Luzza, he came up so big on Inferno. Could have a masterful like round, and in fact, I think at the last Epic land, Luzza dropped something like 25 frags in one half from the CT side when he was...
That is so Luzza. That is so Luzza. Like, for real. He could do just that with this AWP, maybe even with a regular rifle. Like, he's that kind of a player. Ferrari Peakers are going to leave him towards the mid position where no one from Fierce will peek towards him. There's AKs to defend, particularly the A-bomb site where we'll be running forward on that T-side. All will get ripped apart as well. Do get 2 frags back. So once again, the Seeker is going to be able to do some damage. Molotov will not be able to deny the bomb plant and not kill Hype after the fact. So they get a bomb down, they get a rifle to work with. Hype can't quite get to the second, so he's just playing Tech 9 flank and tries to even get to the mid position. Smash down 4, missing him from Luzza. Looking back towards the bomb site itself, Emmons ready. Drops down into the top position. Luzza will be able to shut him out. There we go, Hype goes down as well. The defuse will come through, it will be a 4th on the board for Ferrari Peakers.
Yeah, they played
but again, you know, it's a similar situation to that first map where they had that B raid that went so well on the Fierce set. They had basically Deagles, basically Tech 9s, no real major amount of investment. They still were able to get good picks. They were able to get they got 4 picks in that last round. This one was 2, but they were able to get the bomb plant and boost their economy. They can get a buy up, and they still keep Ferrari Peakers relatively modest on their money line.
Yeah, especially considering that they've now invested into that AWP. That's an additional investment that they need to carry forward, especially if they start to find success in the AWP of Luzza. But for Fierce. They're actually going to try and answer back with an AWP of their own. Wiz will get aggressive though, and he's found the first one. Swaggy will answer back on his own AWP, and meanwhile, Emmons found a pick on the A side. They'll actually double back and just concede the B side of the map because they've fully taken A.
Yeah, no need to go push B when you know you've got a free bomb plant and probably a free round at this point. There is nothing that Aussie and Dom can do from here. Just have to save the rifles. Can see one more back to Fierce. Take a sixth. Obviously, these rifles are going to be important because still not a lot of players. Well, there's only 2 players, in fact, that are breaking the really rich side of things in terms of CSGO economy for Ferrari Peakers. So they're going to need these rifles. They're going to need those drops to come through from Luzza and Dom. They're going to need Wiz to invest in. Adam and Aussie also need to be up pretty significantly. So, again, for Fierce, this is exactly what they're building towards. Get the damage done, get the bomb plant, get the full buy, win the next round, win the force ups, that way you can start flying away with the rest of this half.
Trying to find forward, and Dom is just not prepared for it. He'll lose out the duel altogether, and now Aussie is the only one that should be able to carry an AK forward into this next round. Talked about how it should be something that they can save and move forward with, and how it would affect the economy of this round. As Fierce, they've finally gotten another round and broken the small little streak of rounds that Ferrari Peak has been able to get. But they invest right back into that AWP once again onto Luzza. Swaggy's still held onto his from the previous round. I don't know that we'll be getting too many of these AWP duels, especially considering that Fierce, they didn't seem to prefer picking up the AWP to start things off, just content to start things off on the rifle. But now that Ferrari Peakers have gotten their own, they're going to match it right. And so multiple actually come out to prevent that.
Nicely played once again from Fierce, realising that that's from Ferrari Peakers. They've cleared on a little bit of studying on this map. As well as that Luzza trying to take the face towards Checkers, and Fierce didn't bite that either. They actually Molotov'd him down to 53 HP. It's all been Molotov damage so far against this entire CT side. I think a little bit done to Hype as well on the Molotovs coming back from that CT squad. 60 seconds left. They are still spread out, still playing at that default. A little bit of activity coming through. Sam obviously trying to turn that around by spraying through, doing damage. Takes a nade. Only 2 points of damage against him. Still trying to look for that Ferrari. They've actually reboosted Dom back in. You can backstab and take him down. Trying to face towards his mid position. Smoke going to go down, try and steal the time. They don't realise what's going on here. Ferrari Peakers. Perfect position, trying to cut off the bomb plant. It all comes down to Dom at this point because the bomb's moving towards the position. He hears the footsteps. Can he cut off Kite? No, he lets him pass. And that could have been crucial. He's going to hunt for a little bit more. Drops down, looks for him, cuts a little bit of vision. Now just playing around. The rest of the main CT forces to hold it down. Dom's on for one. Can't even get the job done. 2 frags, 3 frags going untraded to the favour of Fierce. Luzza and Whisk, they're going to fall back. They have no choice but to save.
And the timing's come down so slim there. He's gotten a little bit greedy there as well. He thinks that maybe if he plays things slow, he plays things patient, and allows that player to pass, he can maybe find somebody that's caught off guard, and then he's a possible threat in A main, and he's drawing some attention, but none of the players looking at him. He's unable to convert. In fact, and loses his life in the process. And Whisk and Luzza, they'll try and hold on to this AWP on this B-bomb site, but Fierce, they're hot on the hunt. They want to crunch them in and take these weapons out of their cold, dead hands, and they'll do exactly that. A 7th round on the board for Fierce, and 0 players staying alive for Ferrari Peakers. That will set their economy back quite significantly, as they should only invest into a pistol as well as maybe a little bit of armor utility and go for some sort of an aggressive play. As we've seen that Ferrari Peakers are very, very capable of landing these swift headshots, like on Inferno. We saw Whisk with the 1D to start things off on AWP in the previous map. So we'll see if they're able to get similar results in this round, but Fierce are just playing at their own pace. They're going very, very quickly up middle, and it looks like they're trying to probe Emmett into this A bomb site.
And we're already getting the control straight out towards Highway. Once again, Fierce are going to play this aggressive, but they're walking straight into a triple man cross. Bazan takes Adam down. Trey comes back from Aussie once again. Be as far as he can go, as Luzza also trading us access to the base site. Gained and Whisk, Aussie falling quickly. It's all on Don, 1 versus 4. Could do some damage onto Hype and Swaggy. Almost had to Swaggy off, and does take him down eventually. Not going to get much more than that done. 3 players staying alive for Fierce. 8 rounds on the board for the T side. They're going to take that T side. Ferrari Peakers will be up for another buy here. Orp M4's coming out to play for here. Lacking utility once again for Ferrari Peakers, but that's not really stopped them that all throughout the course of this map and this series. Lazar back on the Orp. Where's it going to go this time? Looking towards the mid position. Can get an opening frag on someone out here, but looks like he's just going to face with flashbangs. Orb shots going through the other side. And that's a wallbang attempt from Swaggin that may well have been. I heard it just whiz past Lazar's head. Ferrari Peakers actually going to leave the mid position as a result of that.
So, Fierce, they've straight off through mid, and that's actually a counterplay here from Ferrari Peakers, and this is exactly what you want to see. As soon as they lose mid control, they try and look for information on one of these other bomb sites, and they're able to put it in 5 versus 4. Dom gets a little bit impatient in the back of Checkers. Something really flushed him out there, went for the peek, and lights things up. A trade will happen on this B bomb site meanwhile, and that allows Capiz onto the site. He will prompt his teammate to rotate in with the bomb. The Molotov should allow him to cross onto the site. That should now get planted, but they're in a disadvantageous situation as we do move into this retake.
That being said, though, 1 HP on Aussie. All thanks to Vazan, he's still making the value work. Capiz down, Swaggy in a 1v3 with an AWP of his own. Smoke towards the screen, misses the flick. That's not what you want to do. They know that he's locked in. 50 out, will get the 1 kill, but overwhelmed by all 3 players. There it is, 5 on the board for the CT side. Could have gone a bit better for Fierce. They had a great default setup as well, actually, because Vazan was in that squeaky position. He was actually going to hold Aussie over on the A bomb site. If he got that kill, he was 1 point of health away from doing so. Then that retake would have been a little bit worse for Ferrari P, because I imagine they might have ended up saving off the back of that. But Aussie, of course, staying alive is a crucial man at the moment. He was able to get that kill that opens things up, allows the retake to time for 1 versus 3. And Ferrari Peakers playing that about as much to a T as they possibly could have given the circumstances. But once again, it's a force back in from Fierce. 2 players low on Econ. Ferrari Peakers investing back in, off for the reset here if the Fierce side can take it. Double obstacle coming through, so extra investment coming through from that CT squad. And Fierce, a lot to gain, going to the A sub, quickly moving out. Bazan taking out Aussie to kick things off. Smokes come back, nades back in. Adam between a rock and a hard place, and Bazan is just going to close the gap. 4 versus 3. Orp Whisk will get traded as Bazan goes ham. 3 kills for him. Lazar and Dom, 2 versus 4.
Yeah, and they're just already going to double back and save. Lazar's already on the hot retreat from middle, and he'll try and meet up with his teammate Dom and create a small little safe space for themselves. As although Fierce have won this round rather convincingly, their money is also not in the best of spots. Some players just sitting below that sort of $1,000 mark, and a few players significantly above it, so they can drop weapons over. So if they lose about two weapons here, it's not the worst situation for them moving forward, but it's definitely damage that will hurt them should Ferrari Peakers start to answer back. This is, of course, one of the last rounds we have, so I imagine actually notoriously. And Zan, the man that did it all for Fierce on the A site, will go down at the end, and Fierce Esports should be able to muster up a full buy. And disregard what I said about the economy. I did very, very poor maths in that previous round. But Ferrari Peakers, they're on a very lackluster buy, and Fierce, they get everything they could possibly want. They do set up into another default round here. Capiz throwing the same sort of B control nades, disallowing Ferrari Peakers to get too much control, and they have to be very concerned about positions like Checkers unless they play somebody close, and that's what Capiz is clearing for at the minute. In fact, he finds the opening onto Dom as well, winning that opening exchange. That will start pulling these Fierce Esports players towards this B bomb site. It puts a lot of pressure onto Whisk. He'll sit in snacks and just hope that he doesn't get cleared. The flash will come through. He gets 2 kills as a result. Evan and Capiz to fall. And now the advantage that they had into this round is completely lost off that individual play and that great flash from his teammate.
Trying to get the kill, he can't do it. The AK remains in play for that CT side. They're going to leave that position as well, so that means Adam can move up if he wants to. He can try go for the rifles. Going to hear the 3 footsteps towards mid, and suddenly it's all going to rest on Lazar. Footsteps heard towards the highway area. Flashbangs now going out. How many kills can he line up? Misses the first flick. That's crucial. That allows Fierce to get onto the A-bomb site and sets up for the retake. Lazar, what can you do from here? Sam's going to go down. Whisk now closing in the gap as Ferrari Peakers set up the retake. 4 versus 2. Fierce have the AWP on, swagging back towards quarter height, getting caught on guard, trying to spray through onto Lazar. across with a nade. Finishes the job. It's all Swaggy for the clutch. Missing his first shot. Peeking back in towards a double peak. And Ferrari Peakers are going to lock out a final round to close out the half. 9-6 to the favor of the Fierce side. A good effort, though, from both squads, keeping it a very, very close half at the end of that one, Yumi. I got to give credit to both squads. I mean, again, it will look like very, very confident play from both the CT and the T side forces.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's very crucial that Laza stays alive in A main because they're so concerned about that flank constantly throughout that retake that they're not sort of conscious of the positions that Ferrari Peakers could have been coming in from highway or coming in from the truck position. And although the AWPers have kind of been lackluster on both sides, a lot of missed shots from both Swaggy and Laza, who are the designated AWPers for both of these teams. It does seem like it is going to be a predominantly dominated by these rifle players, and Fazan especially has been phenomenal for Fierce on the T side, but it does come down to whether we are able to transfer things on to CT, as they have now swapped positions, and it seems like there's going to be a bit of a crunch on this A side. But Fierce, they're playing things retake. They have that one player spotting into the truck, and they've given up middle control as a result, and we'll see if they get anything from Sandbags. It doesn't seem so. They'll actually get themselves onto the bomb site, secure themselves the plant, and now Fierce, they have to make sure that they can get this to work, considering this is how their setup was kind of planned around.
4 versus 5 for Zan. If they got that one pick, that might have been crucial, but unfortunately, Fierce are a man down going into this retake. They're going to move KP's on the back to Adam, but it doesn't matter because he's got 2. Looking for his 3rd, tapping to the headshot, and everyone is down. The Fierce main offensive. KP's left alone towards mid. Will get himself a 2nd, and the 3rd, and the 4th. Tapping, he's got it. Ace! Clutch for KP's if he can find this. Does not know where the last man is and making a lot of noise. It means Dom's got the perfect angle and the perfect shutdown execution headshot. KP is unlucky in this case, but was certainly on to win that for Fierce.
That is the second 4K that Capers has gotten through in this series. He had that phenomenal one on Inferno, and he almost brings things back there, but wasn't expecting the very, very forward positions from Ferrari Peakers, and ultimately they will pick up that pistol round. 2 Galils, an SMG, and 2 AKs on the board for them, and Fierce, since they did get kills as well, they should have a significant buy going into that 3rd round, but for now, it's just going to be the Dom show. He's on for the spray against the anti-eco, or against the eco rather, for Fierce, and now it's just Capers with the USP. We saw him in this position earlier, but the scenario is significantly different, as he does only have the USP versus the head armor and the rifles on the opposing side, and it will be Wisp to finish things off.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And Fierce up for the buy up here. This is what they're looking towards, the standard eco. Coming through on the pistol. The AWP out on Swaggy. I got to question his AWPing so far this series. Hasn't always been good. You know, unfortunately, he's missed a lot of crucial shots, especially when the pressure has been on. And trying to get those opening peaks, trying to fend off those retakes, trying to fend off the site hit in general. You know, it's not always been the best from him overall, both here on Cash and also on Inferno in our first map. The game is to open things up, fortunately one of the more consistent elements of the Fierce side. Gonna kick things off by taking out Dom. They've still got control of the mid possession, but Ferrari Peakers are going all towards A main. No counter boost either, so it's all going to rest in the hands of the players on the top side. I's going to get a frag before he gets traded back. Still the man towards quad to worry about. That's for Zam. Now back to highway spray, misses the headshot. Soulcast trades him out. Now looking for more players on the rotate. Cape is here, the bomb going down, but also Adam. The headshot does just about line it up. A little bit awkward on the first face, but now the nade in. Not going to do as much damage onto Capers, so 2 versus 3. Fierce now just going to hold things down. Swinging a couple of shots and tries to get Dom out of the equation. Wisp moving forward. Dom's dead. Wisp going to pull the full-blown flank. He's waiting in the smoke, moving on towards truck area, looking on top of the red box, but can't get him, and there we go. It's going to be 10. Double digits on the board for Fierce. Bit of a close fuse, but they've got more than enough time for this one.
And it's a shame that his teammate dies so early on, as soon as that smoke has been deployed, because he's thrown that smoke so that Wisp can reposition and potentially go for that flank, but he gets taken down as it blooms, and as a result, he's just unable to capitalize off that fact. Fierce are swarming the bomb site. They've cleared out all the common positions, and if there's no one to be seen in what you can see, he's likely hiding where you can't, and so they do hold that smoke rather sort of hawk-like vision. As Fierce now, it will move into another situation. Up again on Swaggy. Hasn't had as much impact as we would have liked, especially considering that I'd kind of hyped him up as being a very good AWPer, especially when in the sort of online matches that I'd seen of him. But man is for some of these players. Be in full effect. Emin with a nice little opening onto Whisk. Have much of an opportunity to shoot back there. Laza will at least get the trade frag. Down to 22 HP. Fierce definitely have the HP advantage moving forward, especially because Adam has been dinked out towards B. They still hold a 4-on-4.
And the peek towards Zed can as well. He is spotted, putting those shots down, and now know where he is. No one's going to try and counteract for it. Actually, Fazan will rotate in eventually to try and cover off the CT spawn. But Laza in this position, they can't keep a hold of it forever. They've got to focus on the main attack force that's coming in towards the A bomb site. Gonna leave K-Piz, defend B, Hype to cover off CT, and both the players on the A site to predict this A hit successfully. Can Swaggy take down Adam? Seeing the shoulder peek, the flashbang is going to catch him directly to the face. It's all going to rest in the hands of Fazan. He does get traded back. Adam drops him as well. And now Laza can just cut off the rotators, or at least he can hear them making their way forward into the sandbag area. Sprays him down. K-Piz, no chance on this one. Flashbang's still ring tree. Might be able to get this exit frag. Creeping around. There's a lot of HP for his trouble though. This is not a retake that he can make work.
Yeah, and again, another situation where a lot of pressure is put onto Swaggy. In fact, he sees the flash coming the entire duration and gets flashed off the angle. And he goes for that repeat and he gets fully punished for it. He's not fired a shot in the round and he's contributed almost nothing, it seems, because they've not got any information from it. They've not been able to get a kill on the bomb site. He's been unable to deploy the Molotov even to slow things down in the progression. So it's a completely wasted opportunity for him, and it's very unfortunate to see, because I do think he's very, very capable in those types of situations. K-Piz will get a consolation kill at the end there to at least hamper the economy for Ferrari Peakers, but ultimately Ferrari Peakers have been able to claw things back and bring it almost to a tie game situation, as now we will see a buy up from Fierce, but they're hovering around that 2k mark and just going to allow K-Piz as much freedom to do what he thinks is right with this M4.
Look at it, straight in aggression coming up against them. I think Adam's going to spot most of those CT players, probably call it out that maybe A is a bit clearer than you expect. Fortunately, they're still going to play this carefully because they're on the CTs on the bomb site, particularly for Zan's going to get taken out immediately. Now got Swaggy with the deagle, can't seem to land any of these 1D shots that he's looking for. Fierce going to move forward, push up, nades down. Not expecting Hype is Whisk, so he will get caught off guard, but still get the frag for it regardless. And KP is already holding back towards Zeta Connect. I think he knows that this Fierce retake is already off. Save the M4, looking to fall by with it later on. Whisk has taken out one of his teammates. Swaggy going to hold on and try and just suppress, because any second that he can gain here is the second that he's going to have at the end of the round to save the M4. Now running back to the B-bomb site. As Ferrari Peakers equalise the matchup here. This is not expected here from the Fierce side. They've only actually managed to gain one round so far here on CT side. And looking at the loss bonus, looking at how much money they're also going down doesn't help that factor. Might be able to force scrape together a force buy, but again, Fierce needs so much more than that right now.
Yeah, and especially because it doesn't just come down to one side of the map where they're not able to establish dominance, or it's not because a player is sort of lagging behind on the Fierce lineup. It just comes down to the fact that Ferrari Peakers seem to be playing almost better Team CS in terms of how they're able to trade effectively and how they're able to push players into certain positions. You see Hype is caught just completely by his lonesome. Nobody's spotting for boost for him. At least there'll be answers back on these two deagles of Swaggy and Fazan, but considering this is Fierce's map pick, where we saw on Ferrari Peakers, they're consistently taking banana control on their own map pick. This is a bit concerning in that this is so close.
Way too close on this one. KP trying to get a lucky shot on the low HP of Adam. Peeking up towards Forklift. Did he spot him? I don't think he does. Certainly not going to take that shot. Smokes go down towards the cross. That makes his way in. It's Swaggy with the AK on highway, dropping the first. Molotov in towards the quad area. KB around, getting a good tag, but no kill against Dom. Leaving it once again at Swaggy, the 4K clutch this. Laz is already ready. Swaggy doesn't know where the are at. Thinks around looking towards the acute angle rather than the wide face. So 11 on the board for Ferrari Peakers. Fierce, I'm going to take the opportunity to take a tactical pause. Because right now, it's not looking very good. Again, this CT side needs to go relatively well. They had a nice T side, but only one round so far, Yumi. It's it's really, it's just not what you want to have at all.
Yeah, it's a bit lackluster in all seriousness. The sort of best or aggressive plays that they've been able to make towards B have been pretty successful, but that's kind of all that we've seen. We've aside from that, we've seen an individual play from Aussie earlier on into the on the CT side that Fierce haven't been able to sort of replicate, where they do take kind of concede middle control and they capitalize on sort of gaps in the defense on the A or the B bomb site, and as a result can cheat those rotations over, can have additional players that have utility on their belt. They can throw Molotovs or flashes for the anchors or the dedicated site players, and it just means that as a result, Ferrari Peakers can almost consistently overwhelm them on these site hits. That Fierce haven't been able to get those fast flanks or been able to cheat those rotates at all.
I'm trying to look at the Fierce side and figure out how they're going to be able to turn this around, really. So unfortunately, one of the key things about T side of Cash is the fact that it lends itself to a lot more firepower, and Ferrari Peakers, for my money, certainly have the advantage when it comes to the firepower. So for Fierce, you kind of have to outplay them with tactics more than anything else. But as you were saying, Ferrari Peakers seem to have the tactics and the team play there as well. Not quite the in-depth level of tactics the Fierce might have, but you know, they certainly feel like a complete team, regardless of the fact that this is a mix. And when you add that to the fact that the firepower, the T side advantage, and of course the T side lean of Cash itself, you got to imagine that maybe Fierce might not be in the best of positions to take this to map 3, Yumi.
Yeah, and it kind of highlighted Swaggy earlier as sort of kind of an underperformer, mainly just because he picked up the op so many times that he didn't seem to see much success with it. But he's actually right up there with alongside Fazan and Capers. They're all three of them are in that 17 through 19 region. There's obviously some deviation between there, but the discrepancy is a little bit larger as compared to Ferrari Peakers. There's everybody above 10 frags. Obviously, frags don't tell the entire story. That you can't always put weight in that, but when you see that sort of kill discrepancy being as distant as that between all of your players, there's definitely a sign that maybe somebody's not able to convert on trade frags, or they're consistently taking bad duels, or it does hint at some things that are going wrong for your side. And hopefully, while they're taking this freeze time, they're recollecting their thoughts, they're allowing things to reset and just coming in with a brand new mentality, because somebody needs to take the initiative on Fierce, because if they, as I tried to allude to earlier, if they consistently lose control of certain parts of the map, somebody needs to step up and make sure that you can get those rotations in.
And this isn't the first map that we've seen them do that on. Obviously, Banana on Inferno was one of the main points of contention when it came to Fierce's, not only their CT side, but also their T side at the same time. For T side as well, it's a pretty key part of the map to gain control of most of the defaults. But of course, Cash, its own individual beast. Fierce, not a lot of money. It looks like they're going to decide on the force up here. Actually, pretty defined by all things considered, actually. Just lacking in the head Kevlar, and that's not a major problem considering the AKs are out. Most of the head Kevlar is going to be negated anyway. So Fierce go in with an AWP on Swaggy. Got to hit more of those shots. Fierce in general need to play a little bit better, but there it is. Swaggy stepping things up, taking out Adam for the first face out towards the B. All fight gets 2 towards middle, and Fierce take full control of the early defaults here. 5 versus 2. No trades coming back for Ferrari Peakers.
And this is a fantastic start coming out of that timeout. Maybe just stopping the momentum of Ferrari Peakers to start things off, but great individual fights taken. And now just Aussie and Lazar to try and recover the round. They certainly are very capable of doing so, but Fierce, they're going to start playing more in towards these sites, and that will allow them to at least go 1-for-1, or at least be able to trade off of each other should the opening duel not go their way. Aussie and Lazar, they will slowly make their way through the vents and clear all of middle out. That part of the map conceded by Fierce. They're allowing them space to maneuver. And now it just depends on whether they're able to find that initial duel. They do spot out Fazan, and he's actually going to re-peek and reface into it, but he doesn't spot another player in A main going for that jump peek, and as a result of not finding that frag, they're going to be funneled towards that B site or towards the save, as now they just need to make a decision here.
Flashbang going out, ferrari is not going to go around for it, they're going to just wrap back into the vent area and get shut down by Hype. 3 kills for him, Lazar burning alive towards second. One for a secondary frag, but Capers wins it out and actually wins out the duel as well, so 11-11. Fierce, finally, another very, very good round there. Second so far this half. Another pause going to come through quickly. I think this might be technical in nature at this point, considering how frequent these pauses are coming in from here. Ferrari Peak is also a great chance. Well, we are not in the best of scenarios. 1 AWP, 1 AK brought down, 2 more players to force buy, and if they go for the force buy, probably going to be looking at Tech 9 CZs, P250s at best.
Yeah, and this is a good opportunity for Fierce to be able to capitalize off that low.
Actually, a broadcast that someone, I think we tried at Epic 20. Yeah, Epic 20. We had like an analyst desk going, and we tried to have them come in at halftime and try to get them in at the pauses. Right. Didn't work out, to say the least, but we don't get to call those pauses, so neither should you. Either way, they're back in, 11-11. It's all evened up right now. Ferrari Peakers on the force buy. They've got 2 AKs and an AWP, but a Tech 9 and a CZ to hold them back.
And Hype has played this position multiple times for the Fierce lineup, playing close mid behind that smoke, but as it fades, he does reposition himself in the vent. And then pushing into A main, though he's found the first one, done significant damage to Whisk, eventually lands the frag, may actually light himself for the third. Does so much damage up to Dom, but ultimately comes out short-handed in the exchange. They've at least got the advantage, Fierce, but he would have definitely have wished to pick that one up and save his own life into this 4 versus 3 now, as it does seem Adam is trying to lurk over towards that B-bomb site.
The red thing is that Edmund did all that. 2 kills and then 6 HP left on Soulcast. No, Soulcast? I keep calling...
yeah. It's
why did they change their names? 6 HP on Dom off his own back. No support of any other players, so no one else was in danger. There's no silver lining for Ferrari Peakers because of that. They don't have any damage potential against the TCT side that they can use to walk off of a kill later. And as a result, when the peek comes through from Adam lurking on that B-bomb site, he's done. 2 versus 4 now. Swaggy. Incendiary down. This actually could catch Dom. This could take him out. Burning on Lazar. Dom does get past it, but the AWP was rotated in. Swaggy ready to catch the first kill off. Zan moves in towards the other side. 12-11. Fierce are going to maintain the lead.
A fantastic initiative play taken by Emin in that round. And that has to be where these Fierce players step up. Although we sort of criticized them earlier for playing so individually, the fact that he has played that individually, like you said, there were no silver linings for Ferrari Peakers in that maybe if they'd used some utility or thrown a grenade or even landed the spam through the smoke, they could have at least had a small bit of damage done onto another player in the exchange. But Fierce now, this should be a round where they can convert things rather well, as it is just P250s across the board, no armor, no utility that they have to be concerned about. But Fierce, they are very, very aware of this, and so they're playing far back into the sites, and that can actually work to your advantage as well as your detriment, as you don't get that information early on, and you're maybe not expecting these players to just overwhelm you on this bomb site, especially if you don't get that initial frag coming in. But they will actually burst on through, and there's a whole lot of mid shots coming on through. They actually get both these B bomb site players, and that's the nightmare scenario that I was just trying to allude to.
And Swaggy misses the cross on the bomb planter as well. They overwhelm them. Fierce couldn't get the kills at range, and now they've got 2 rifle sweats. The eco round from Ferrari Peakers. This should not go down like this. Fierce trying to find a way back in. They got the utility at the very least. Smoke down, flashbangs to start entries. But they got to be clinical because Ferrari Peakers get one more frag. It all goes to hell. Whisk lines up a quick 1-for-1 trade as Lazar's traded. On they go down. But Whisk on the 2 can't quite get it done still. Dom turns it to a 1v1. P250 baited in the frag from Swaggy, but he can't finish the job. The defuse actually is going to be quite close. Hold on for a second. No, he's got time. He's got time. Swaggy's all right. Yeah. 13. Unlucky 13.
That gets...
It almost was unlucky 13 for Fierce Esports.
I can't believe they even allow it to get that close. So that's... I love when things go right as a caster, where you're like, oh, you know, you talk about the caster's curse all the time. That is the caster's blessing, almost, where I'm trying to paint this picture where this can go so wrong for Fierce, and it almost goes disastrous. They only barely win out the round. Swaggy survived on, what, like 10 HP in the end exchange, and it's just... If that's how you're going to play out those anti-eco rounds, you need to make sure that you're going to be landing those initial duels. ultimately they do get past it. Fierce do move to 13 to 11. And we do see similar buys across the board. A lot of utility on both sides, and the singular AWP in the hands of Swaggy and Laza once again.
A full buy from both sides. Wearing thin on both money lines. Only Ferrari Peakers have the loss bonus to work with. Fierce Esports need a lot out of this round. They need to get a pretty flawless victory. I'll be damned on that money line. Right now it's just one lurker in the form of Aussie. Up here to the boost spot. 4 more players in B site, ready to push on through. Only 2 players to deal with. The flashbangs come through. Adam spots 1 towards Headshot, takes the first shot off. The flashbang goes through, and K-Piz is dealt with, I believe, through the garage. Type rotating in, cuts off 1, but unable to cut off the second. Adam's still on the bomb site, peeks towards Checkers. It's 2 versus 3 now. Retake coming through, make it 1. As Fazan is out and Emin is all that remains. Bomb on the site, it will get planted. No way you can deny this. Could take down Adam. Spots the number. It is. It's awkward. It's not HP. And Wiz can get the trade as a result. Once again, Ferrari Peakers are going to make this as close as is possible at 1 round difference. It's 12 on the T side.
Fierce's map pick, it started off so well for them, and it seems like every time they get that little bit of an advantage, it's answered right back by Ferrari Peakers. The money, not fantastic for Fierce altogether. They are able to get armor as well as upgraded pistols, but they have to deal with things like the AWP on Laza.
Oh!
In fact, the spam comes through.
Sit down for Zan. Look at hype though, he's aggressive. He wants revenge. He wants revenge so bad.
Hot on the heels of that AWPer. In fact, he's repositioned himself on the truck. He'll actually hear the top of it. And Laza gets the kill anyway. He's caught off guard. He gets dinked up in the process, survives on 2 HP. But he's found both of those players in the middle, and the round should be very easily in the favor of Ferrari Peakers. But I'm not even sure how he's been able to get away with that. Capers will at least answer back. Well, onto Aussie, but surely not long for this hold. The flash will fully blind him. They do get the bomb planted on the A site now.
They're doing damage with the armless K-Piz, sees the gun barrel of Laza, but has to fall back. No information. Has got a deagle out and several low HP players, so we could be able to do some damage. Trying to frag onto, I believe that's Whisk there in the quad. But can't quite finish the job. They now know where he is. They'll start wrapping back around as a result. They've got 1 player, actually 2 players towards the mid position. Adam, go towards Z connector right now. Taking down, but in the end it leaves it all onto Whisk, who will finish the job. 13 all now. Getting closer and closer to the match, well, map point, and match point in the case of Ferrari Peakers. As they buy down, Fierce looking for a buy of their own. Evan4's coming out. 1 from Arsenal. Emin's not going to lead them to the best of scenarios, but still enough on the 4 buy. Just got to shut down Ferrari Peakers somehow, somewhere. Laza, an impact player with his sword trying to get towards the mid. If they lose this mid control, I have a feeling that Fierce may be up the creek without a paddle.
Laza, he will get boosted up now that the molly has dissipated, and if he peeks into Z, Swaggy was holding that angle and waiting, but I imagine Swaggy will at least look for some information. He's been jiggling both of the angles, trying to find the right timing, but all in the meanwhile, Ferrari Peakers, they're setting themselves up towards this A site 3, positioned over by that door, and a flash will come on through alongside the smoke, and I imagine they'll pop flash as the door is open. They'll actually go down to this fight on them, and he loses it initially, but fantastic work from Fazan to answer back with 2, and Swaggy gets one himself, but it's traded almost instantly. The AWP does no much more damage than any of those rifles on the site. The bomb has made it past these rotations, but he will actually get taken down in the exchange. And now Aussie, 1 versus 2, he gets the first. They're dancing around this bomb site.
He's praised, but Hype wins it out anyway. 2 kills, denying the bomb plant, applying that pressure to Aussie, and just maintaining the lead for the Fierce side. He was the key man at the moment, and finally he shows up when Fierce needed it the most. 14 to 13. This one is a very, very close one, it seems, as both teams once again reinvest in this round right here. Might turn the whole tide of this map, potentially this series in the case of Ferrari Peakers. Emily getting up close and personal. Molotovs on Laza. He doesn't push forward, opts to back off, and that's a great thing. He knows Fierce might have pushed up to that position. Follow-up nade as well from the mid area. Looked like it was coming through from, I think, KP's in the mid position. It's gone ahead and rotated, and Fazan's going to try and hold down the mid presence. They've got a lot of players here towards mid. That does leave the bomb sites pretty open, but that also means a lot of rotate potential. So Fierce could play for the retake. He could shut this down. This will be their map point if they can win this.
The money will be broken on either side if this round does not go their way. With that bomb drop towards A main, they will now recover it and regroup towards that B bomb site. They have given up mid control. And now Fierce Esports, they don't have a whole lot of information. They may have heard that rotation from the A bomb site. In fact, I actually think there is, Emin is still sitting in middle, and so he might have actually heard that rotation from A, but the Molotovs should at least start signaling to Fierce that Hype might need some backup here. He's still all alone. He's setting up the flash to at least buy him some time. That opening duel doesn't go his way. He does significant damage, but ultimately he's completely isolated on the site, and Wisp will actually find a kill on Zan as well.
Oh,
Emin
wow.
dies through the vents, and it's into this 5 versus 2 now.
Just overwhelmed. Fierce should have rotated as soon as they saw that utility. B site is such a difficult one to retake when you're 4 versus 5. Now, they're 2 versus 5. It's damn near impossible. KP's will wait here. Try and hope if he can get some exit frags. Ferrari Pika start chasing around towards the tree position. He might be able to get one. Indeed he does. Turns back around for another, but the AK is as far as he'll go. It's 14-14. Ferrari Pikas shutting down the loss bonus for Fierce. Again, both sides invested. And they're coming out short. Swaggy will be able to take down Adam. So if he can get another frag, that does put both teams on, well, relatively awkward stilts, essentially. And that could be enough to potentially turn the tides for Fierce back towards their map point once again. But now, though, the money is looking in tatters. Nothing to work with for Fierce, other than the rifles they've saved from that last round. Oh boy, like, even given these circumstances, I can't see a way for Fierce to realistically get the way back in. They're going to have to force play, obviously.
Absolutely.
CZs, 5.7s, PT50s, up against a full-blown set of rifles, which Ferrari Pikas are going to be able to afford. Virtually no problems here. Fierce are going to need a miracle and a half at this point.
And again, they're going to go for this close mid play. In fact, I think they're setting up for the boost, but Laza, he's already up, and so Fazan, if they jump up into him, he doesn't spot it out initially.
Oh, he's seen it. He must know. He's looking around. One head's all he's going to find. And he almost lands it onto the second player through the wall. Man, that's an AK out of play. That's not how Fierce wanted to go.
A 5 versus 4 to start things off as they both went for that boost. Laza has been up there so many rounds in a row. In fact, the flash will come on through to that A site. Adam has found one to Fazan, and Emmett now trying to dance around this smoke, trying to find an opportunity. Gets the first, but answered right back into this 4 versus 2 now. But they have to commit to this at this point. It would push them into such a poor economic situation. Hype will get into a fight. Ultimately whiffs a lot of shots. Swaggy gets a kill, but now it's just all to Swaggy to win it out in the 1 versus 3. And Laza shuts him down. Ferrari Peakers are on match and series point in this upper brackets finals.
And they'll be moving to the grand finals as well through the upper bracket. What a showing from this team. Fierce Esports, one final buyback here. And again, it all kind of came down to that one mistake. The fact that KP's peeked up towards the mid position gave the smallest of pixels away. And that's all that gave them. That's all Laza needed. One peek, one shot, one kill. And the rest of the round comes falling apart for Fierce. And 1v3 with the AWP is all that remained at the end of it. And now, this might end up being it for Fierce in the upper bracket. They still got the lower bracket matches to play out later on tonight, but this, again, is another miracle if it ever comes to fruition. The Deagles, 5.7, CZs, a UMP is the best weapon they have against the AKs, the AWP on Laza, the man, the myth, the legend, if you will, for this Ferrari Pika side.
The small silver lining is that Fierce, they've actually committed 3 players to this B bomb site so far. It has been a weak point for them on these gun buys, but given that they have pistols, this should be somewhat advantageous given that they have that movement speed. They can commit to that, but they're actually faking it out. They've thrown the utility. They maybe suspect something is up, considering that there's no utility or weaponry being fired in response to that. It's actually a double bluff. They're wrapping around through checkers, and Hype now gets into a fight. B-Main getting a bit inquisitive, gets that first kill, but it's answered back by Aussie. He's gone to, and they're not actually suspecting this third player here. Swaggy gets the first, but answered once again. What? It's just trade after trade.
No
with his hand.
way.
He's made a huge play. It's now just onto Dom to clutch it out in the 1 versus 2.
Doesn't know where the second player is, but have to take his first frag right here. It's not going to happen. Fazan with the 3K is taking us to overtime. How did Fears pull that off? How did they do it? I said they needed a miracle. It looks like a blessing has come down. The clouds have opened. God is shining upon them. The heavens open. And Fierce bring us to OT. I'm not going to lie, I was not expecting us to be here.
Yeah,
I really was not expecting this at all. Of course, MR3 10K, for those of you who are at home who are not aware of how this overtime is set up to be. The AWP is coming out immediately, all down to those executions, but just find a serious lifeline. Already going to lose the opening duel here of overtime. Adam even double peeking back in for more. The flashbangs come back, the smoke's in from the CT. He's going to try and back out of this position, but he still doubles down. And the 3 versus 1.
And Fierce have gone for that aggressive play to try and change up the pace into this first round of overtime. Quite often teams can get caught off guard because you've played a certain style for so long. And it's just not worked out for them. They lose that initial duel, and Adam actually just continues to push off the fact that Fierce, losing that fight, wanted to fall back and were unable to do so successfully. As a result, they do lose that B-bomb site. The bomb is planted, but in this 2 versus 4, they should actually just hold onto their weapons. Granted, they do have a lot of money because of the overtime, but considering they want to invest in this AWP, holding onto that is very, very crucial.
Yeah, they need this. Of course, 10K means there's a little bit of economy management needs to come through from the Fierce side. So getting this AWP, getting this M4 back out once again means, as you say, pretty crucial. Ferrari Pegas are going to open things up with 16 on the board. Fierce can't let this slip now. They need a good half. They can get 17-15. I think that's more than plausible. Even 16-17.
Yeah.
They can get 16-17. Then they could turn this back around to the T side, get those remaining 3 rounds, and then win us forces to map 3.
Yeah.
I think that's the best they can do, because obviously both these sides have done better on that T side. Again, leaning towards cash and generally its general balance as well. So that's all they need. They're going to invest back into the double AWP setup. They're going to put a lot into this next round. So they have a little bit for Hype and Swaggy to force into the next round after that. Again, just 1 is all they need to take in this overtime.
And they've actually got the double AWP. Capers has one as well on the Fierce side. They've been playing around the AWP Swaggy relatively well so far for our peakers. So maybe this change of pace or a different position that where Capers might post up might catch them off. But they do still have the AWP on Laza as well, so there's potential for that duel to take place. Ferrari Peakers are posturing themselves up towards that A site. They've thrown the flashes as well as the Molotov to completely clear out the forklift. And as the smoke has bloomed, there's actually a gap in it, allowing that players that do rotate for Fierce to maybe capitalize off that fact, but they don't seem discouraged for Ferrari Peakers. They're still committing all the way through, and flash comes through, Swag gets dropped, and so does Fazan. As there's not even a chance for a rotate to come in, as they haven't been able to delay them at all.
2v5, Emin and KPs might have to go for this. 1 HP on the main defender, and Whisk is still getting the kills. 3 for him. KPs will catch one on the way back out, look back in 4 seconds, but he still misses. Whisk got 4 kills on 1 point of health. Ferrari Peakers absolutely dominant going into this overtime. And now 1 away from another map and series point. Another upper bracket point, if you will, for this mixed team. Fierce with the double AWPs back out once again, but the Eagles and M4 to try and support them, lacking heavily in utility. Another miracle potentially required, but again, if they can just get that miracle for 1 round, they might end up being good here.
That was a very, very cool looking Molotov. In all honesty, it had all the style points. He was moving to the side, he was throwing it towards the sandbags, and that allows them to fade that they're taking middle control. But Fazan, he's unfazed. He gets the first Swaggy from the heaven position as well. Will answer with 1 himself, and Luz has been taken down to 10 HP off of the back of that spray down.
Around the AKs, from these angles, KPs goes falling, and there's 1 more up there. Luz is turning back to 2 versus 2. Not like this. Fierce nades back in. This could do some serious damage. Does a lot onto Swaggy, still peeking up with the AWP. Bomb will get successfully planted, but Adam's still on the rafters. They're not ready for this. Hype goes down. He gets straight back in with the AWP. 2 AWPs versus 1. It all comes down to the 1-shots. And Swaggy, caught between a rock and a hard place, peeks up, and Adam shuts him down. 18-15, Ferrari Peakers. Just when it looked like the miracle was coming back for Fierce. Oh, they lose control at the very, very last second.
And you kind of listed the win conditions, or the rounds that they needed to win. They need to get that 17-16 or 16-17 scoreline. But now this is such a tough spot. Although Fierce were better on that T side, it's a phenomenal amount of pressure to put onto each and every one of these rounds. That has to be purely in overtime, right? There's no way that is accurate representation.
I'm not sure at this point. Anyway, we've had some awkward numbers on that scoreboard, but regardless, the numbers that are true are the ones at the top of your screens. Map and match point for Ferrari Peekers. Fierce need a miracle again, and Emin may have just found it. Aussie down, peeking back in for the second, but it's Luzza who waits on the other side. Orp in against the frag. 4 versus 4. Smokes will keep him covered. Got one more man up. Oh no, he didn't realise Adam was there for 4-5. That could have gotten awkward if he landed a headshot, but thankfully he didn't. Tagged him in the shoulder. That's only a little under 20 points, a little over 20 points of damage, excuse me. Alright, Peekers keep their main men in check. HP advantage for them here. There's Dom ready to receive. Hearing footsteps. Oh, Capis drops down and takes him out. B-site control gain is only Wisp passively holding it. 1, 2 sprays lined up for Zan, shuts him down. But Luzza is here, ready to frag.
The Molotov, unfortunately, he's going to sit in it, hoping that somebody would cross during its duration. He's down to 39 HP. In this 2 versus 3, they don't have a smoke that can be deployed towards CT, so they just need to take it straight and aim for it. In fact, Muzzle missed the opening engagement. He'll be gifted another opportunity soon, but he actually gets one, and that at least allows Adam an opportunity to win this round. The 1 versus 2, Hype will now cross onto the site. Adam will spot him on the cross, and he does a significant amount of tag damage. He'll try and creep out with this bomb being planted, but Capis will have heard all of these steps. He's keeping track. He's likely going to peek with him, and Fierce, they pick up that first round on their T side. That's the first piece of the puzzle. They still need 2 more to complete the whole 1,000-piece set. And Ferrari Peekers, they just need 1 more to move into that grand finals position.
Still hard for Fierce Esports. 2 rounds in a row. They cannot falter. They cannot stop. They will be on the front foot at least in the next round if they can win this next one out. Fierce going to get into the mid position, out to the vents area. Busting things open, trying to get some CT control into the mid area. I'm not sure how much Fierce is ready for this. Ooh, an awkward nade, doesn't matter for Luzza. He'll tank it, he'll take Swaggy down. A nice flick, and they're going to boost back up again. Doesn't look like they will, but they're still peeking back into the mid position, not see the player that crossed. Close to the flick. If we landed that, I would have called back bans, but not to be.
Yeah, I don't know if that would have been the best of the finishes to our upper bracket finals. Luzza's landed this time before, so I was definitely very, very nervous for that player. But in this 5 versus 4, Fierce are still spread fairly far apart, not allowing Ferrari Peekers to maybe take advantage of the small gap in their T-side defense, because if they did push on through, they could potentially get a fast flank in and get that rotation on through. But we actually see a boost onto the box from Adam. I think this is the first time we've seen this from either of the sides so far, and we've played 34 rounds, or yeah.
Ferrari Peek are still doing well on there. That means that they really want to put this over the edge. So such a difficult shot to land as well, because it's only a head that shows the top half of the head, nothing else. Of course, you get full reign of everybody else on the vice versa side. T is fortunately will not go to that angle. They're going to go towards the B bomb side, which is not that much better. There's 3 players directly defending it here towards Hell, and on the site itself, it's Luzza. Kicking and screaming all day. 2 kills, 3 kills. Peek back in for the 4th. Ace to close it out. He gets close. Whisk will steal it, but it doesn't matter. 19-16, 2-0. Ferrari Peekers are through to the Epic LAN Grand Finals.
That, of course, is not the end of the road for Fierce.